Hey, Sam here from Sugar Spun Run, and today we are making lemon blueberry cupcakes. Possibly the perfect springtime dessert recipe. This is a great way to use up fresh blueberries, and I really do recommend using fresh blueberries with this recipe. Let's jump right into it. Get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius, and grab a large mixing bowl. So for this cupcake recipe, we are doing sort of the reverse creaming method. So that means we're going to combine our sugar and our dry ingredients before we start adding our fat or oil. So first, we'll add our flour. This is 1.5 cups or 190 grams of all-purpose flour. Sugar goes right into, this is 3/4 cup or 150 grams of granulated sugar, and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So the cornstarch is going to add like a nice sturdiness to this cupcake recipe. This recipe is a close modification of my lemon blueberry cake. That one went crazy. So many of you have enjoyed that one. But to get a really nice sturdy cupcake that can kind of stand alone, we had to make a couple of alterations, and the cornstarch was one of them. We'll also do a teaspoon of baking powder, lemon yellow dish, just a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of table salt. And this recipe is going to make us 12 cupcakes. If you're wondering, yes, you can absolutely double the recipe for 24, no problem. All right, let me grab my whisk and we'll whisk these ingredients together. And once again, this is more similar to the reverse creaming method than it is to the traditional creaming method. Traditional creaming method, you beat together butter or oil and sugar. Today we are going to be adding it to our dry ingredients. Now you will want to use an electric mixer for this recipe. Of course, you could use a stand mixer. You will want to use the paddle attachment, but today I'm just going to be using my electric hand mixer. Have this at the ready. All right, now we will add our oil. You need 1/2 cup of oil for this recipe. I am using avocado oil. You could alternatively use vegetable oil or canola oil. Let me go ahead and drizzle this in. And I do want to tell you that not using butter here was an intentional choice. This recipe, or these cupcakes, are going to need to be stored in the refrigerator if you're keeping them for longer than a day. And if you're using my lemon cream cheese frosting that I'll be sharing, that also should be refrigerated. So oil is going to give you a cupcake that stays soft even while it's refrigerated, while if we were to use butter, the butter would sort of re-solidify in the fridge and can make a more dry and crumbly cupcake. So oil was the way to go. Don't worry, we're adding plenty of flavor from the lemons and the blueberries, so believe it or not, you're not going to miss out on the butter. I would tell you if you would. Don't worry. We're just going to mix this on low speed, get everything combined. And if it looks a little bit dry and crumbly, no worries. That's totally fine. The important thing is just that all of the dry ingredients and the sugar are moistened. So this is looking pretty good. I'm just going to slide it out of the way for a moment, grab a separate mixing bowl. The first thing we're going to add to this is 1/3 cup of buttermilk. I do recommend real buttermilk over my buttermilk substitute. While that substitute certainly has its place, real buttermilk is just a little bit thicker, and my concern is if you were to use a substitute instead, your blueberries could end up all sinking to the bottom because you're going to have a thinner batter. So that's just something to keep in mind. They'll still be good, but real buttermilk is just going to give you the best results. All right, let's grab our lemons. We're going to do some zesting. Just going to zest on a little bit of wax paper so I can neatly collect my zest. We're also going to need some lemon juice. Always zest your lemons before you try to squeeze the juice out of them. It's much easier that way. Now you're going to need 2 tablespoons of lemon zest. Typically for me, this is 2 lemons, but that's going to vary so much depending on how fresh your lemons are, how big your lemons are, just a lot of different factors. You may have heard me talk about this before, but when we are zesting lemons, you don't want to go too far. You want to avoid, so you want it to stay nice and yellow. Let me go down to the part you want to avoid so you know what not to do. A little extra zesting here real quick. Okay, so you can start to see that white papery layer here instead. That's called the pith. That is not going to give you a lemon flavor. It's going to give you like a bitter flavor. You don't want that. Stay away from that part or else you're going to have bitter cupcakes. We want bright lemony cupcakes. And you will notice we are not using any lemon extract in this recipe. We are completely relying on the fresh lemons for the best possible flavor. All right, let's see what we have here. You don't need to really pack it in. Just a lightly filled tablespoon will work. Drop that into my bowl. Oh yeah, this will work. 2 lemons exactly. If you have a little extra, no worries. Just toss that in. Just did all that work. We're not going to waste that. Now we'll get the juice from our lemons. You need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Just going to squeeze this to this bowl here before I measure it. Oh, very juicy lemon. Let's see what we have. Take a look at that. 2 tablespoons, there we go. This will go in our bowl as well. Next, we'll add 2 large eggs. Your eggs should be room temperature. All of your ingredients should be room temperature, including the buttermilk. That's just going to help everything combine best, give you a nice uniform batter that is easy to work with and that bakes nicely. Okay, we're also going to add 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Fruit and vanilla sometimes work well together, sometimes they don't. Vanilla has a reputation for bullying fruit flavors. Here, I tested this recipe many times. The vanilla actually adds a nice depth to it that we weren't getting when we just used the lemon flavor. So just a little bit goes a long way. Let's whisk everything together, get that nicely, or get the egg yolks nicely broken up. Bring back our mixture. And we are just going to stir this in until we have a nice uniform batter. Just turn my mixer to low speed. Okay, this looked pretty good, but let's give everything a stir, make sure. Oh, see, we had some stiff batter hiding on the bottom. We want everything to be nice and uniform. So we'll check with the spatula. Now we'll add our blueberries. This is a cup of fresh blueberries. We've rinsed them, picked over them, and dried them completely. You don't want them to be wet when you add them to the batter. I also don't love using frozen blueberries in here. If it's all I had, I would probably do it, but they can make the crumb of a cupcake a little bit more soggy, tend to sink a little bit more, so I really do recommend sticking with fresh. It's just going to give you the best results. Add these, we'll just gently fold them in until they're well distributed. Just a couple folds. And as I mentioned, this recipe makes 12 cupcakes. I like to use a large cookie scoop to evenly divide the batter. It's a lot easier than using like a pair of spoons. And we're just going to evenly divide the batter into the muffin tin. It should fit nicely. You shouldn't really have any leftover batter. Now, some people will toss their blueberries in flour before baking their cupcakes, or a little bit of flour or cornstarch. I have found that doesn't really make a difference. If anything, it might dry your cupcakes out a little bit more and it'll make the batter thicker that way, which will keep the blueberries suspended. But I worked really hard to find a recipe that kept the blueberries suspended and was nice and moist without having to do any extra tricks like that. All right, let's take these over to our 350 degrees Fahrenheit preheated oven. They typically need to bake about 20 to 22 minutes. Always do the toothpick test. A toothpick inserted in the center of the cupcake should come out clean or with a few moist crumbs. All right, these are looking pretty good. You can see our blueberries, they did not sink all the way down to the bottom. You should be able to see some at the top. We're going to let these cool in the baking pan for like 5 to 7 minutes. Don't let them cool completely in the cupcake tin because what will happen is, one, they run the risk of accidentally over baking a little bit as they sit, but two, if you ever had a cupcake, pull it out of the tin and it's really greasy on the bottom, that can happen if they sit in the tin for too long. So after 5 minutes, the pan will still be hot. That was hot. We'll just carefully transfer them over to a cooling rack. And I just use a butter knife, run it around the edge if needed, and just gently pry it out. But do be gentle and do be careful because it's still hot. Now, of course, you do need to let the cupcakes cool completely before you frost them, otherwise you're just going to have a mess on your hands. All right, today I am decorating these using my lemon cream cheese frosting, which I will be sharing in my next video. If you're looking for other options though, check the description where I will share links to my regular lemon frosting, my blueberry frosting. Either of those would also be excellent here. We'll add a little blueberry for our lemon blueberry cupcakes. And that is how you make these lemon blueberry cupcakes. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you try it, let me know what you think. I really do love hearing from you. Make sure you head over to my website, leave me a comment there. That's actually very helpful to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Look at that cupcake. Blueberries well distributed. That's what I like to see. It'll be messy. Take a look at that crumb. That is a good cupcake. Love it.